We're talking about that you have to, what do you want? Continue the. We'll finish 25 too. That is 22. We'll have to, what do you call it? It's 10 lines on top of the page. We're not allowed to set the nether free. According to one time, that's what the trader says, you should continue working with them. It's only optional. And Rabbi Kiva says, it's mandatory. Says the Gemara, why doesn't the Gemara just say Rabbi Lezer says every freehold is no evade at all? He just says it's optional. Lo, he says that it can't be. The Tanya behead, we learned the Bryce clearly. Rabbi Lezer, it's a chayv. The following three things. The following three things, rich people lose all their money. The mafkav dailachari. So the first thing is they set we had a sukkah. They set the avodim free. Then the second payday. Number two is with the decided nichsaya b'Shabbat. They go and look at their estate, their assets on Shabbos. And number three, the kavis the saya b'Shabbat. That they have their Shabbos meal on Shabbos while the Rav is giving a drasha. They're sitting there and eating. They eat the Beit Midrash during the Beit Medrash instead of hearing the rabbi's speech. Two families Shabbat. They always ate a meal during Shabbos and a meal, and before they lost their money. And Achas Kabbos Erev Shabbos. Now, what's wrong with Erev Shabbos? So the Rashi has one shot on Friday afternoon. So Shabbos had no appetite. They had a full meal, not just a toimel meal, but a full meal. The other pshat Rashi is that no, Friday night they would have the main meal, and the reason why they did it was Shem Shemayim. So Shabbos by day they could be free and listen to all the drashas and go to all the shurim. But the wrong, because we had more Arbi Tzachim, that covered Hayyim is other because like, the meal of the day is more important than the meal of the night. If you make it Eved Hegdish, the Rabbi says, name it up. You make it, you say the word Hegdish, he goes free. Why does he go free? Because you can't make an Eved, well, you can bring him as Bech, you can't put him into a wall. So what did you mean? Either you meant that the value of the Eved, but then you should have said the value. And but there's another option. We're called Am Kaddish. So if you said your Eved, I want you to be Kaddish, what you really meant was that he should become a full-fledged Yid. Join the Am Kaddish. My time, a goofy like Kaddish, he body can become whole. The dummy like Kama, he didn't say it's the value. The level Am Kaddish Kama, what he meant was become part of the holy nation. Rabbi Yosef Amarav, Rabbi Yosef in Rav, Hamafkir Avda Yotzal Chedesh. Rabbi Yosef says in the name of Rav that if somebody makes it, it's the same Rav, but Rabbi Yosef argues about what Rav said. Rabbi Yosef said in the name of Rav, Hamafkir, and neither of them learned by Rav. They were learned by Rav Nachman, Rav Yehuda, Talmidim of Rav. But this each one heard differently. So Rabbi Yosef Rav Hamafkir Avda Yotzal Chedesh. Somebody makes an Eved Hefkid, he goes free. Hefkid, he goes free. Why? Because he made him hefker. Mandama Magdish Koshke Magdish. Mother Hegdish, it was so cryptic, and yet we say you meant you should set free. Surely made him hefker. But Mandama Mafke, the one who said hefker, aber Magdish loy, but not if you made him hegdish. Why? Because Dilma Ladama Kama, Rabbi Yosef holds when you said hegdish, who said I meant you should be Am Kaddish? Maybe I meant that your value should go to the base on Megdish. Just because I didn't spell it out doesn't mean that's probably what I meant. So the question is, in the case where he goes free, let's say Hefker Hegdish, Tzaddik get Shicher, Lloyd Tzaddik get Shicher. Do we need to get Shicher? We said before that Shmuel said you don't need to get Shicher. We're going to learn tomorrow's Gemara that the Amoraim who argue that say you still need to get Shicher to make him a full-fledged Yid. He's free, but he doesn't make him a Yid yet. You need to get Shicher because the Yid, the Balbas, owns the goof of the Eved. He said that both of them go free, but try to get shicher. Clearly, Rav says that you need a get shicher nevertheless. Even though I said something for the name of Rav before that, I had just I have that what that the guy goes free. Nevertheless, and now we're saying that Rav hold you need to get shicher, but I have a problem with all this. What is that? I'm going to ask a question on the very din that I just brought out. It says, so if somebody makes all his nechasim hegdish, amongst his assets, he also owned avodim. The Gaboim cannot set him free. They cannot set him free. Why can't they set him free? And because they don't own the Eved. He just meant the value of the Eved should go to Hegdish, not the Eved himself. So how can they set the Eved free? They cannot eat, but what they could do, they can sell it to somebody else. They want, and once they sell to somebody else, that other person owns the Eved outright. You need to understand exactly how that works. Usually when you sell something, you sell only what you have. How can the hegdish, they themselves cannot set the Eved free, but yet they sell. And the idea is more or less that when you sell to you give it to hegdish. It's like tonight. This is what I want you to do with it. I want you to sell it, and with the money, use it to support whatever the base of English. So it's the tonight that's limiting them. But when they sell it to the third party, the tonight is no longer there. They fulfill the tonight. Now it belongs outright to that third party, but they cannot sell it to the Eved themselves, because the Eved is Meshach himself, is setting himself free. And that's not considered a sale. That wasn't part of, even though the Eved might pay the full amount of money, it's like a Tanai, we want you to sell it and not to set the Eved free. What's it clearly from here? That Hegdish does not own the Eved. No, even though I said Hegdish, I didn't mean that the Eved should be set free. I'm saying is I meant the value of the Eved, which is exactly not like what Rav said before. And even whatever you argue says, I said that the Eved could redeem himself if he pays out the full money. How is he different than a third party? Forget the fact that he is the Eved; he's paying it out. If somebody gave him money on the condition the master doesn't own it, so he can pay himself out. So it's like he's selling himself. Says the Gemara, Masnisin Koromis. What you're asking a question from Mishnah and Rav Tanu Polu. Rav has every right. No, whenever we have no alternative, this is the answer that we give. So you want to touch my coming here? It says in Pasuk, Ach, and another place in the Bryce it says, Ach Kol Anything that you set aside to Hashem, and it says in the Pasuk, anything that you own, may Adam from people. When we own people, only people you can own are avodim. Your avodim it says klizmir that you can consecrate them to the base of me, which means is their value. Or get a kasha enough. Talking about the case where he actually said it. It's not specifying here exactly how this happened. He said, "L'dami the value." So once you tell me that it's talking, even though it's mentioned in the Bryce, he said it in the previous Bryce. So why do you have to reach that conclusion that I was a town of Poli, which is only a last resort? Just answer. It's talking about that he said "L'dami." And that's why the Hegdish, has his value, but they cannot set him free, but they can sell it. So because it can't be. Why don't you answer the previous price as well? That he added a dummy because the previous price doesn't make sense. Why not? Because if he clearly said the dummy, then that means he clearly said you don't own the Eved. I'm just giving you whatever the value of the Eved is worth $100. I'm donating that to the English. Why would you think that the Kaboyim can set him free? That you tell me, by the way, they can't set him free. Who gave them the Eved? And why you have to tell me that they could sell something else? What are they selling? They don't own the Eved. All I gave you was the value, whatever he's worth in the slave market. I'm donating. It doesn't make sense. Where do they come in the picture? They can sell to others. How do they come in? What are the Gabayim selling? That the Eved can give his own money and set free from whom? From Hegdish, they don't own him. If all I said clearly was the dummy, what are they selling? So must be talking about he said clearly Hegdish. I'm giving it to Hegdish, and therefore it belongs to Hegdish. Now the Eved is not. I'm saying I'm giving you the value to Hegdish. I'm giving the Eved to Hegdish and let them convert it into value. What can the Eved do with them? Let them convert it into value. Not that I'm giving the value of the Eved to Hegdish. So therefore, I couldn't answer the word Ludami in the first place. Tashma coming here. If somebody says my Eved should have Hegdish, the Eved can continue eating when he said Hegdish, he didn't mean the Eved himself become holy or his activities. He meant that what? He meant that the value of the Eved should go to the base of English. Just like land. When I said the land, you meant the value of the land. So the Gemara. Before we said when you said Hegdish, you mean the guy goes set free. I'm Kaddish, and now you tell me no, it means the value. So this follows a mayor who's very pedantic. If you remember, we learned a mayor a number of times that a person never utters a word that it doesn't actually mean they should carry out. So if somebody according to a mayor says, I'm going to give Erkin, the Torah says the youngest kid from a month and over has a certain value. If a person says on a 2-week-old baby that I'm giving the Erich of this baby to Hegdish, he has to give the value of that baby. Why? Because people don't say words for naught. Ein adam meitzed dvarim levatala. And everyone knows that you can't give an Erich of less than a month. So he meant the value. So same here. He knows that the Eved you cannot bring on the Mizbech, or you can't put an evidence into the building, be part of the building. So since he used the word, even though he used the word Hegdish, What he meant was the value, because he would hegdish, he meant he wanted some association with the base of English. So he meant the value of the Eved. That's so different than Rabbi Yosef and Rabbi who were saying name of Rab. They were not following Rab Meir. Saying an ordinary person says, I will be hegdish. What he meant was that my value should go to hegdish. He follows a Meir who says people don't utter words for naught. So a free person says that I will be hegdish. What does that mean? It must be that my value should come hegdish. Okay, shop. Eliam Rabbanon who say we just follow the words, and you say that because the Rabbanon say that if you stop make hegdish something that cannot be hegdish, what you meant then is the value. So bishlema avdoi. Okay, when it talks about an eved, I can say that what an eved you mean value. He's sold in a slave market means value. Now I'm making him kaddish, so he, to be sold and so on and so forth. But himself, el iu ledame koi. What do you mean? I could be sold. An ordinary ben chayrin walks around saying that I can be. Is there value to a ben chayrin? An eved has value, but a ben chayrin, what value is there? Who sells in free people, independent people? Who values them? So obviously, it must be the mayor who says every word you say, we take into account and we try and make sure it works. We'll continue with Shabbos, 7 o'clock. Have a good Shabbos.